I bought this flood damaged PS Vita from eBay just to see if we can clean it up and fix it and try and save it. It came from a game store in Kentucky that was flooded under 4 feet of water. This is what the inside of the store looked like that this PS Vita came from. So let's take a look inside the box. Wow, look at that. That is so much mud. Okay, we got the Vita and then we also have the charger. I'm not sure if I should even try and plug this in. Definitely need to clean it up first, but this thing is pretty dirty. So let's start with the console itself. We got to get it apart and see how the inside looks. Now I did pay quite a bit for this. I paid $100 for this thing. Part of that is because I knew it would make a good video regardless of whether I can fix it or not. Part of it though is like, I just want to support this game store. Man, that would be terrible to have all this cool stuff in there and then have a big flood like that. I'm assuming the game store was insured. I hope it was, but either way, that's just a bad experience to have to go through. So I don't mind that I paid quite a bit of money for this, even though, I mean, let's face it, there's a good chance this isn't going to be fixable. There's a good chance when we open this, that board is just going to be totally corroded. So if we can fix it, great. If not, it's not like it's a total loss because we are supporting that game store. Now I did open this flap to get the screws out and it doesn't actually look that bad inside here. I can't tell on the game slot, but this under these flaps actually looks a lot better than I thought it would. So, I mean, I'm a little hopeful here. Oh, here we go. Look at this. We've got a 4 gig memory card. That's cool. These were not cheap. We got some rust on this end, but this side actually looks pretty good where the pins are. So, I don't know. Let's get this back pried off and see what it looks like on the inside. All right, here we go. This is the first look at the inside, and that's not good. That means there's a lot of water all in here. Hopefully it didn't get in here under these chips. Ah, boy, got some corrosion down here. That's to be expected. One of the things that I'll be checking is all these ribbon cables. That's a common place for corrosion to take hold. So we'll check that. But first, let's get this battery cable disconnected. And part of the battery cable connector already broke. Well, we broke our first thing on this handheld. That's not a great start, but it'll be fine. Okay, this is the inside. Let's check the voltage in this battery and see what it is, just out of curiosity. And we have absolutely 0 voltage in the battery, which is kind of to be expected. All that water went through it and probably created some shorts. So all that battery current just went through those shorts and drained the battery, most likely. All right, so we'll worry about this half in a little bit. Let's start getting this apart. We pretty much need to take this whole thing apart so we can inspect everything. Now first we'll take off some of this stuff that just makes the rest of it easier to get apart. Now I'm going to take off these metal brackets. That makes these boards easier to remove. Now I'm going to release the locking tabs and all these ribbon cables so we can inspect those. I expect there to be some problems here. We'll see though, you never know. This thing like definitely was in water, but I have seen more corrosion, so I'm kind of surprised at how little there is actually. I mean, I'm a little hopeful. I'm not super hopeful that this thing is going to be fixable, but you never know. All right, now let's remove this board and have a look at the other side. Here we go. Wow, that is really dirty. I was hoping it wouldn't be so dirty on that side. This doesn't bode well for the screen for sure. It's probably the part I'm getting the most worried about. This side, not too bad. I'm not too worried about this because there's not a ton of stuff on here. Like all these buttons, I think we can clean up. It's been a while since I have removed these, take one of these apart and remove these screws, so I am going to mark them. I usually don't have to, but man, it's been a while since I've taken apart a Vita. And I usually forget about this screw. Okay, and now let's have a look at the other side of the board. Oh, that's not good. All right, let's remove this ribbon cable. Oh, wow. That's a lot of rust. Okay, a lot of rust there. There's a lot of rust down here as well. A bunch right in here. Okay, well, I think what I'm gonna do is actually put this in an ultrasonic cleaner. So I'm gonna remove the camera, remove all these shields, and this one as well. And then we'll clean this thing up and see how well it cleans up. First, let's remove these shields and see how bad they look underneath though. Okay, and we have the first one loose. Please don't be bad. Underneath. Oh, that's not great. That's a lot of corrosion. Let's get the rest of these off and then we'll have a look under the microscope and see really how bad this is. Okay, and the next one is pretty much the same thing. That's a lot of rust, so not looking great. All right, and the last two are off. Underneath these doesn't look too bad. So, I mean, that's the good part. These don't look too bad, but these are another story. Okay, now that we have the covers off of this, let's get it in an ultrasonic cleaner and see how well that'll clean this board. I did want to have a quick look under the microscope before we put this in the ultrasonic cleaner. Got a lot of stuff going on in here. And really, like, this type of thing is a big problem because this is a ball grid array chip, a BGA, so that means there's solder balls underneath that connect the chip to the board. And commonly what'll happen is there'll be corrosion that gets under here from the liquid that, like, there's no way to get it out, and so the liquid just kind of sits in there and corrodes. So that is a big problem. This chip, we definitely got some blackness, corrosion over here. What do we have up here? Same thing, a bunch of rust along here. I am going to give this a brush off with a toothbrush just to get a bunch of this loose debris. And then same thing over here. So these chips don't look great. Okay, now that we see the before, let's get this in the ultrasonic cleaner and then we'll have a look at the after. And into the ultrasonic cleaner we go. And I put these in for 2 minutes. Flip them and do the other side, and we'll see how they look. All right, and we are done. I always get asked what liquid I use to clean. This is called Branson EC. Let's let them dry and clean them up and see what they look like. Okay, so this is what we got. They're looking good so far. They're a little wet still. I'm going to use some electronic contact cleaner. Now, normally I would use BW100 for this type of thing, but unfortunately, they're out of stock everywhere. And I've emailed my contact at BW100 multiple times. Haven't heard anything, so I don't know what's going on with BW100. It's unfortunate because I really like the product. They were, as you probably know, they sponsored multiple of my videos because I like the product. And unfortunately, I don't know what the status is. So now I'm trying out other contact cleaners. This one is WD-40 Specialist Contact Cleaner, not the WD-40 lubricant. That would be a bad idea. So I'm going to spray this on here, and we're just getting any leftover fluid from the ultrasonic cleaner off of here. This also dries really fast, and so it will dry everything off really fast. Gotta say, probably not as fast as BW100. The other thing I don't like about this is that it is flammable. It's one of the things I loved about BW100 is it wasn't flammable. But it is what it is. So, gotta deal with what we have. Also, if you have a contact cleaner that you really like, leave it in the comments. I'd like to test out more of them if there's more good ones out there. So I'm gonna finish cleaning these up. Then we'll have a look at the board under the microscope and see how it looks compared to how it did look. All right, and we can see that did a lot of good. A little bit of gunk. Yeah, it didn't get all the gunk out down here. A little bit down here, but really pretty good. This whole area looks good. I'll clean that a little bit off camera, make sure that's all cleaned off. This all looks good. See some discoloration here. That should be fine though. It won't cause it to not work. What about up here? Yeah, this all looks good. So the main thing is going to be whether it got underneath of these chips clean enough. If there's still corrosion under there, that's going to be a problem. Or if all of this caused some of these chips to go bad, that will definitely be a problem. I'm going to clean this connector up a little bit more just with a toothbrush. I feel like some of those solder joints are still looking a little dirty. Okay, that's looking quite a bit better. Okay, real quick, let's look at the other side. And yeah, that looks good too. Okay, so now we need to get the shell cleaned up, and then we can get this board installed and see what happens when we try and turn it on. I do have to say, this seems to maybe work okay. It seems like it doesn't get the board as clean, and I can still smell the WD-40 smell. So I'm not as impressed as with BW100, but I mean, if it does the job, that's the main thing. Let's get this battery out so we can clean up this back case. I'm assuming the battery is good. Obviously, there's no way to know until we get it out and clean it and then put it back in and test it, but hopefully it's good. So we got a little bit more to do on the inside. I'm not going to be able to get everything. These holes are pretty deep and thin, but I can get most of it. So I'm going to get that done off camera. Let's flip it over and do the outer side of the back shell. And I'm going to start with a paper towel that's soaked with isopropyl alcohol. I'm not going to press super hard because I don't want this all to scratch. With this dirt on here, it'll be super easy to scratch this shiny black shell on the outside. So I'm not going to press super hard, just enough to get it wet and start taking off some of the mud. That's so much mud. I mean, I guess this isn't that bad. Some people pay a lot of money for this treatment. And hopefully this will kind of give this back shell just a nice polish. The front shell that we got to fix, including the screen glass, that's going to be difficult. Okay, we're getting there. I'm going to use my metal dental pick to go around the cracks right here and get as much mud out of those as I can. Look at all that. So much. Okay, now use a toothbrush to go along these cracks, try and get even more of it out. All right, and what do we think? Really? Not too bad. But now we have the even harder part. We've got to clean this. So I've already taken some of the buttons out, so we'll worry about that in a minute. Let's see what we got to do to clean this part. Now this is even more important to not scratch since it is the actual screen. I think I'm going to do a similar thing. I'm going to try and use a wet paper towel. Going to wet it with isopropyl alcohol. And we're just going to start taking layers off. And then as we go, we'll start to reveal more of the screen. And we need to do a little more work here and there, but that looks pretty good. And I don't think we even scratched the screen at all. The screen looks really good. Okay, so we got to clean up a few other parts. I'm going to do that off camera. Let's just get to the putting this thing back together. All right, and here we go. We can now finally start building. And I have to say, this looks better in person. On camera, it looks pretty dirty. And I mean, honestly, some of it is. There's some rust and stuff in the corners that it's pretty much impossible to remove. And I'll do a little bit more cleaning as we go here, but overall, this is pretty close to as good as we can get it. So I'm gonna start building this thing up, and hopefully we'll have a working PS Vita when we're done. I don't have high hopes for that, but gotta have some hope. Now it is important to note that I have not put the metal covers back on, like over the chips and stuff like that. That's on purpose because I'm assuming this isn't actually going to work when we plug it in, and I'm going to have to take it apart. And to be honest about it, even if it doesn't work when we're done, I'm going to spend a little bit of time trying to diagnose it, but honestly, there's probably not a good chance this one will be fixable if it doesn't work, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. That being said, we got a little bit more to do here. Got to put in some more ribbon cables. Actually, I'm going to put the metal plates on first, and then we'll do the ribbon cables. And then we'll plug that battery in and turn the power button on and see what happens. I'm not sure why I'm so excited about trying to see what happens. Like, I feel like there's such a small chance of this thing working with the condition it's in, but at the same time, there is a chance. So you're telling me there's a chance. Okay, we've got all the ribbon cables hooked up. Everything's installed how it should be. Now let's connect the back cover. We've got two cables, a ribbon cable and the battery connector. There's the ribbon cable and, come on, battery cable. Okay, there we go. Now we can flop it together. Okay. Got a little dirty again on the front, but this is what we're working with. That looks a whole lot better. But is it going to turn on? We got to get the battery charged up, or try to charge the battery, and then press the power button and see what it does. Now I'm using my own charger that I know is good, because I don't know what's going to happen if we try and use this charger. I don't think we're ready for that yet. So here we go, plugging it in to a charger. Let's see what happens. And, oh, we got an orange light. Apparently it's charging. Hey, that's a good start. So we got to let this charge up for a little bit, and then we'll try and turn it on. All right, let's see if the power's on. Come on. Come on. Bummer, it does not. Okay, so I got to get this taken back apart. Let's take a look at the board and see if we can figure out what's going on. So it seems like we have pretty much no power on the board, so the first thing I'm going to do is check fuses. If the fuse is good, we should hear a beep. If it is not good, it will not beep. Good. What about this fuse? This looks a little dark. That fuse is good. And we got one more over here. Come on, please be bad. Oh, man. A fuse would be such an easy fix. And what about up here? This shouldn't matter because it's just for this, that port right there. Okay, fuse is all good. Let's start looking at capacitors and see if we can find anything shorted. And I am kind of focusing my attention down here in this area since it did have a lot of corrosion. Okay, I don't see any shorted fuses so far. That's also kind of a bummer. Turn it over, try the other side. Okay, and after all of that, there's not a single capacitor that I checked that's shorted. So this tells me that it's likely some sort of problem with one of these chips. So I think what I'm going to do now is plug in the power and do some voltage testing and see where we have voltage and where we don't. And again, down in this area is where the majority of the corrosion was. So that's where I'm going to start checking. The other thing is I'm pretty sure this is right where some of the voltage comes in from the battery. So, okay, we got 3.8 volts right there. That's what it should be. What about here? 0 volts right there. 0 volts right there. These should have voltage on them. What about over here? Nothing. Nothing. Okay, so what seems like might be happening is we have voltage coming in, but one of these chips, this one or maybe this one, might be faulty. This one is a tiny BGA, this one is not, but in order to replace those chips, we'll have to remove this whole metal piece. And here's the problem. Even if we fix this and we fix the issue, this entire board has been submerged and there's corrosion going on. And my worry is that even if we fix it, it's gonna stop working at some point in the future. So I think, given the fact that the corrosion is so widespread on this board, the best thing to do is to not use this board. But I think I have a solution. I also have this PS Vita. This one works, but it has a bad screen. So what I'm thinking is, let's take the board out of this one, put it in this one, and see if that'll work. We don't even know if the screen on this flood damaged one works. So I don't know if that's gonna work, but I think it's worth a try, and that'll also tell us if the screen does work or not. Okay, and here we go. Just need to borrow this. Now I just gotta hook a bunch of stuff up, and then we have to see if the screen will even turn on this one. Let's get this battery plugged in. Back cover connector, and then we'll close it up. Now let's test it and see if it'll turn on. Although, I need to clean this screen off, because after all that work we did, it's not really showing how good it looks. Okay, that's better. That looks really good, but will it turn on? Gotta see if this screen is good. Here we go. Oh, come on. Hey, there we go. Is this actually turning on? Look at that. Okay, touch screen works. Does it read a game? And heck yeah, it reads a game. Oh, memory card. Let's see if the memory card works. I'm not sure about this. This is one that was all rusted out. I've got it cleaned up, but I don't know if it's good enough or not. Hey, there we go. Restart. Okay, and with the memory card in, let's see if it'll start up. And it totally starts up. So it wasn't the way I wanted to do it, but we totally saved this flood damaged PS Vita. I'm super surprised that as much of it worked as it did, given the condition that it was when we started. If you like this video where I'm trying to fix a flood damaged device, I'm gonna put another one up on your screen now that Restorist Rob made over on the Restorist channel. I think you're gonna love seeing the results of his video. Thanks so much for watching today, and I hope you have a good one.